Alright, this probably is the spiciest deck I have touched in many, many months. It is everything and more I ever wanted from the TCG. So I couldn't hold myself back. I just had to craft it. It's the most fun I've had in playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In quite a while. And I'm so happy they made a combo freestyle deck as viable as this in the rank ladder in Master Duel. So if you're willing to spend the crafting points for this, it is not the cheapest deck. If you're willing to spend the crafting points, you're gonna have a great time. This deck easily got me into Platinum 1. Let's look at the deck list. Alright, so before we talk about any specifics of the deck, what the game plan is, what this deck is supposed to do, how crazy it is, I want to give a huge shout out, a massive shout out actually, to Jesse Cotton. He's been an inspiration to me in the game and as a human being for many, many years at this point. And he posted a deck list very similar to this on his Twitter, so make sure you follow him, follow the Duelist Academy. It's basically his program where he teaches you how to play the game and so on. Massive shout out to him, you know, he's a brain, he came up with this, it's crazy. Now, let's get into this. The first thing you might notice is, why is there a 60 here? Why is there a 60? Usually when we play Yu-Gi-Oh! We try to minimize the cards in our deck to maximize the chance of seeing the cards that we want to see. Well, there's a certain card in this game called That Grass Looks Greener. This card is banned in the TCG, maybe for good reason, some might say. At least it's a very, very, very fun card to play around with. If you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, send cards from the top of your deck to the grave, so you have the same number of cards in the deck as your opponent. Your opponent plays 40, you play 60, you activate this card, you mill 20 cards to your grave. Now, why is this good? We play 4 payoff engines for this. 4 payoff engines. Cards that do something in the grave. The first one being a zombie engine. So this is 2 Uni-Zombie, Triple Shurnoi Solitaire, and Mizuki. Mizuki, you can banish this card from your grave, target a zombie, special it. Right? We special Uni-Zombie, Solitaire, we start playing from there. We can do some synchro plays, we can do link plays. That's pretty cool. They're also very good cards to draw, except the Mizuki, but we discard it, it doesn't matter. We have a Thunder Dragon engine in here. So Thunder Dragons, when they're in the grave and they're being banished, you get additional effects from them, right? So you can banish them with Snow, for example, to get their effects to make a Colossus or make a Titan, depending on where you are in your turn. Thunder Dragon is a great card because it gets you advantage, it gets you more cards in the hand for your dangers that you also play in this deck, which we'll get to in a second. The third engine you play for a payoff engine in the grave is a Destrudo engine with Yazi and Mare Mare. Destrudo is a level 7 tuner monster that can summon itself from the grave by targeting a level 6 or low monster you control. And then you can make a level 7 synchro, right? You can make a level 7 synchro because Destrudo's level gets reduced by the monster you targeted. So you make Yazi, you summon out Mare Mare from the deck, you make 3 tokens, you extend into crazy plays. You can make Link Karibo, you can make Halki Fibrex, which is something that was not possible previously in the TCG. Halki Fibrex was not out in the TCG yet when Destrudo was still legal, so you can end on something like Apollosa or Boral Sword, depending on what you're going for, and Yazi destroys a card in the way, so this is crazy. The fourth engine, or should I maybe rather just call it a card, is Fairy Tail Snow. If it's normal or special summon, target a monster your opponent controls, book it face down, change it to face down defense position. If it's in the grave, here's the crazy part, as a quick effect, banish 7 other cards from hand, field or grave and special summon it. You banish the Thunder Dragons, you get effects, you book a monster of your opponent, this plays through Dark Ruler, Droplet, any of the crazy cards. Funnily enough, this card got released from the ban list in the TCG as well, just a couple of days ago, so I don't know, this card is crazy. It's been crazy for me. This is, I think, the main reason this deck is even somewhat viable, right? This card is crazy. If you cannot get access to it by Grass Looks Greener, you mill it with Curious. 3 monsters with same attributes but different types. You play a lot of dangers, right? They're all different types, but all the same attribute. They're all dark monsters. You mill the Snow, you mill 3 other cards. And then you already have the Snow live almost, right? Then we have the Danger engine. We played 2 Jackalope, 2 Tsushinoko, 2 Mothman, 2 Nessie. Why 2 Nessie? Why 2 Tsushinoko? I only have 2. We sort of just make this deck with what we can, right? It is an expensive deck already as it is. I didn't have money for everything. So basically that's the idea, right? Going first, you put up a board of Colossus and Apollosa with some non-engine to back it off and a Snow in the graveyard. Usually that's enough. And then going second, you activate Grass Looks Greener if you can and resolve it. You probably win the game if you're not VFD'd or FTK'd in some way. And if you don't draw this, you usually try to extend with Dangers, get to Curious, sort of put your Snow in the grave, trigger your Thunder Dragons, and just go for OTK, right? Going second, we just OTK. We play a couple of spell cards to sort of support this whole game plan. We play Reasoning to get an additional special summon and also get cards in the grave. We play Allure because it's the best extender for Thunder Dragons. If you draw this with a Raw or Dark, it becomes incredibly good. We play Desires because it just draws 2 and lets you draw into Grasslook Screener. We play 1 Thunder Dragon Fusion, which is something that I think Jesse Cotton didn't play. I don't know, he said the deck wasn't finished. Who knows if he would play it, if he could. But the Thunder Dragon Fusion, great card in my opinion. Even going second, you could search this with Thunder Dragon Dark and just push even more for a game. And then we play 12 non-engine cards, if I counted correctly. We play 3 Maxi, 3 Ash, 2 Gamma, a Cold by the Grave, and 3 Impermanence. Of course, we have to play the Driver in addition to the Gamma for this package. Now, why do we play so many? I believe, so far from what I felt like, even in the Master Duel format, you have to play a lot of hand traps, even with a heavy combo deck like this, even if you're playing 60 cards. Gamma, Ash, and Cold by the Grave are outs to Maxi, which of course is one of the most dominant cards in the game. I often just OTK'd through Maxi anyway, because it didn't matter, right? If they draw a lot of cards, but they don't draw a Nibiru versus this deck, it doesn't matter. You just make Apollosa, you make Boral Swap beneath it, you have that many materials, you can just OTK them anyway. And then we play Maxi and Impermanence. This is sort of to stop our opponent if we can only end on like a Colossus or something. If we draw suboptimal, this can help us, and it's also good going second. That is the basic game plan of the deck. Just OTK your opponent going second really quickly, set up a board going first that is separated into Graveyard Disruption with Snow, Field Disruption with Colossus and Apollosa, and maybe a hand trap or 2. That is the basic game plan. This deck is 28 URs and 33 SRs. It's an expensive ass deck. For me, I really wanted to have this deck. I haven't spent any money on the game yet. So if you're willing, you can choose to use your crafting points for it, especially if you've already crafted the Thunder Dragon deck. I think it's not too big of a deal. And again, maybe you don't want to make it yet. We don't know what's going to happen with the TCG ban list and the Master Duel ban list yet. TCG ban list just dropped. Nothing happened to the Master Duel ban list. Maybe this will just keep as its own format, which would be fine. Anyway, let's get into gameplay. For the first one, we play against some trap deck, I think. I don't remember exactly. Right, we're just going to commentate them pretty freestyle. Alright, let's look at our hand. We open Jackalope, Thunder Dragon Dark, Reasoning, Allure. So you see, even if we don't draw Grasslook Screener, our hands can still be busted. This is a busted hand. Remember, you want to discard Thunder Dragon Dark in the end phase if possible. Discard it, add another Thunder Dragon Dark from your deck to the hand. You have more materials for your Thunder Dragon Fusion in the grave already. You already have stuff to banish with Snow if you need. We have an Allure here in hand, so we would have a way to trigger the Thunder Dragon Dark anyway. But just in case, we want to discard this in the end phase. Also gives us a lower chance of drawing this in our draw phase, which is also somewhat relevant. Maybe not in the 60 card deck as much, but in the 40 definitely. Alright, let's look at what our opponent does here. Goes into main phase 1, activates Desires. That's fine, we don't have an Ash. And they just set 4, alright? They just set 4. Now what am I thinking here? They're probably playing Eldritch, right? Probably playing Eldritch. Skill Rain, not the most amusing card for our deck. We had another Thunder Dragon Dark, as I said, in the end phase. It's our turn. We draw into Ash. So at this point, we have a lot of options. And that's one of the great things about this deck. You always have a lot of options. So it rarely feels like you couldn't do anything if you lose, except for if you get VFD'd, of course. Now, the first thing you want to do here is activate Thunder Dragon. The reason for this is that you don't want to draw into your Thunder Dragon with a Allure. Pretty much just, like, it's just a super bad play, right? You don't want to draw into the Thunder Dragon. We draw 2 cards here. We draw Unizombie and Fusion. So this is amazing. I think I actually messed up in this game. But in theory, it would have been the best to just activate the Fusion next here. Because now we can banish the Thunder Dragon Dark, trigger its effect, add a Hawk. As you can see, we already have 8 cards in hand. It's crazy. Now, we should have activated Fusion here already, but with this, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I almost can't, like, figure out what my grave is if I don't see it. I'm still used to Dueling Book and all these other simulators showing me my grave whenever I need to. Like this, I always feel like I have nothing in the grave. Anyway, we activate Hawk, they chain Maxi. Good thing is here, we have the auto Maxi, right? This is one of the good things about playing Ash, Cold by the Grave, Gamma. And even with Gamma, because some people might say, well, you can not control any monsters for Gamma, so it's not really an out to Maxi. Well, in this scenario, and most of the time with this deck, you are very much able to bait the opponent into dropping the Maxi when you have no monsters on field with the Danger effect, with the Hawk effect here, with the Thunder Dragon Fusion, something similar. So we go into Colossus here first. It's not the biggest of deals, but it's a little bit of a worse play, I feel like. Even then, we can still use the Thunder Dragon to trigger our Titan, or at least try to. Remember from the last Thunder Dragon video I posted, Thunder Dragon Titan has to be chained with 2. So if we activate OG Thunder Dragon, which OG Thunder Dragon I refer to as the regular Thunder Dragon, and they chain another card, we cannot trigger our Titan, right? It's one of the downsides about Titan, one of the very unfortunate things. And they chain Dynamicious, which Dynamicious just banishes our Titan. We add another Thunder Dragon, and we still have a lot of plays here, right? We still have a lot of plays. The next one we're going for is Reasoning. Reasoning. They say level 5. Well, that's understandable. They only saw Thunder Dragon cards so far, and Dark is a level 5. Probably that was their thought process. Also, the OG Thunder Dragon. I mean, they're all gone at this point, but probably they thought, well, Thunder Dragons. But what they don't know is we play a lot of different levels, right? That's also a reason why Reasoning is so good. We play a lot of different levels. We special, I think, the Jackalope, and then normal the Unizombie. Unizombie puts itself to level 4, so this was a nice play. Look at this. This was a nice play. We put Mizuki to the grave. Unizombie can alter its level if we put a zombie monster to the grave by 1. We add a level to it, so it's becoming level 4, and sort of freestyle-ish. We didn't know that we're going to hit the Jackalope off the Reasoning when we started the turn, but it just happened, so we had to freestyle. We had to improvise. We went for Yazi, which they had to Judgment. Yazi is one of the best cards. Destroy itself, destroy a card from the opponent. When it's destroyed, you basically can summon an extender from your deck that will just get into OTKing the opponent. We trigger the Jackalope. We discard the Jackalope. They randomly hit it out of the hand. We summon a Mothman. Now, you might be wondering why we summon the Mothman instead of any other danger monster. The reason it's a level 4 monster. And we have Mizuki in the grave. If you remember, we milled the Mizuki off the Unizombie. Unizombie has a second effect where it can once again alter its level if you discard a card. And we have 2 Thunder Dragons in the hand. We don't really need them anyway. We're gonna use Mizuki to special a zombie from the grave. We're gonna summon Unizombie, use its effect to make it level 4 to go into Chaos Ruler. Which Chaos Ruler, it's one of the best cards in the deck. We mill 5 and basically just add one of them to the hand. And this mill is crazy. Look at this. Look at this. It's absurd, right? It's totally absurd. We mill Destrudo, we mill Snow, and we mill Nessie. And we add the Nessie to our hand. This is basically just like drawing 3 cards with Chaos Ruler. Because the Destrudo and the Snow, they're not really in the grave. You can still do stuff with them in the grave. Destrudo at this point not as useful as before because Yazi is already gone, which is the card you usually go for. We can still go into Hulky Firebreaks, but we rather go into Phoenix to sort of destroy their last back row. I wasn't fearing a last back row anything crazy here. Scapegoat is one of the more impactful cards he could have had. I, at this point, still didn't know, and it was kind of unfortunate his hand, right? He just opened 3 Dynamicious, but sometimes it'd be like that, right? They go into Unicorn. They try to out my Colossus, which they do. They go for Unicorn. They go for Access Code from what I remember. Let's just fast forward this. They go for Access Code, and they try to go for game here. But obviously, I still have 8k. They don't have a way to break, or not to break, but to kill me, basically. And they attack directly. And from this point on, you might think, oh, we don't have any cards on the field. We don't have any cards in the hand. Well, our graveyard is now our new hand. That's how it is in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, right? We activate Snow in the grave. We banish Thunder Dragon Dark to trigger it to add a Thunder Dragon Roar to our hand in just a second. Now, the Thunder Dragon Roar gives us insane follow-up, because at this point we have a Thunder Dragon Fusion in the grave as well, which our opponent realizes. We have Chaos Ruler in the grave, which we can special summon back. There's a lot of stuff. We still have the Strudo. We could have gone for an easy OTK here with Thunder Dragon Titan as well. I think this was a really good example. Even though our opponent didn't have the craziest amount of interruptions, it was still a good example of how well this deck can play through a board going second as well, even without Grasslook Screener. Now, imagine if we would have had Grasslook Screener in this scenario. We would have milled 20 cards. It would have been nuts, right? Let's go into the next replay. So, starting hand. Gamma, Ash, Impermanence is the first thing I'm thinking about. I'm like, damn, we play 60, we still open all the hand traps. It's so unfair. But Unizombie and Jackalope, it's not really a combo. It doesn't do anything so far. Potentially, if we don't need to use all of our interruptions, we can use both of the Unizombie effects to make it level 5. Summon the Jackalope from the hand and go for Chaos Ruler. That's a play we can do. They set 4 again. I don't know what's with all these Eldritch players. It's pretty crazy. So all the hand traps basically dead at first, it seems. We draw Reasoning once again. Reasoning, such an amazing card. Our hand is busted. We open Reasoning and we start our play. So they call level 10. I don't know why they call level 10. Usually if I get, like, if my opponent activates Reasoning randomly, I would probably call level 1, because Infernite is a deck that likes to play Reasoning. And they mill a bunch of cards if you don't call level 1. We summon the Thunder Dragon Roar, which is an amazing special summon, right? It special summons one from deck. If it's sent from the field to the grave, then Dark can once again extend. So this is a great extender here. We use the Jackalope effect first, because I don't really mind at this point the Unizombie being discarded, because we still have Ash to normal summon in case anything happens. We now normal summon the Unizombie, we use its effect, mill the Mizuki, and now once again, as in the last replay, we can go for a Chaos Ruler, because they're both level 4. We use the Chaos Ruler effect to mill 5, but then he activates Widow Anchor, so I realize, okay, he's not playing Eldritch, he's playing Sky Striker. So at this point, I'm thinking, I don't have to be as afraid of his back row anymore, because Sky Striker plays very low impact back row in comparison to Eldritch. This Sky Striker player basically just bricked, they didn't draw any Ray. So they activate Widow Anchor, it's totally fine. We still have a lot of ways to extend. We go into Nightmare Phoenix exactly. We trigger Nightmare Phoenix and Roar. So Roar is Chain Link 1, Phoenix is Chain Link 2, discarding the Gamma because we don't really need it anymore. Opponent doesn't seem to have Max C. We destroy it. They had Droplet face down. Nice that we could clear this. We used the Mizuki in the grave to summon out the Unizombie. They used Shark Cannon, which I somewhat expected. Shark Cannon is a card. If the Sky Striker player breaks, often they just have Shark Cannon face down if they set 4 cards. So at this point, we only have 2 cards to deal with, right? So we go for Decode Talker. We use the Dark effect. We add Hawk. I can just fast forward this. We use Hawk. We summon back a Dark, and then we go for Colossus. The reason we're going for Colossus is because against Sky Striker, if they rip Engage off the top, which Engage is at 2 in this game, so it's a bit more likely they draw it. We want to have a Colossus that makes it so they can't activate it, even though we would have the Ash, but who knows, maybe they draw Desires as well, or I don't know, right? So they draw for turn, they use Cosmic Cyclone, they Cosmic Cyclone or Imperm, and at this point we still have once again all the follow-up, right? We have Chaos Ruler in the grave, which can bring itself back. We use Dark to add Duo. We just, I think we use Allure for the memes, right? And then we summon the Dragon Duo and just attack for game, and that's how we can play through easy interruptions, right? Maybe we can get a replay where we see like more of a back and forth game. Alright, we went through 2 replays where we went second. Let's look at a replay where we go first. Let's pause this for a second. It just goes too quickly. We open Allure, Danger, Tsushinoko, Dragon Dark, Desires, Fusion. So, first of all, we want to activate Allure, get 2 cards immediately, banish the Dark, and get the card we want out of the deck, which is Hawk, probably in this scenario, and add it to our hand before activating Desires. We only play 1 Hawk. There is a low chance we banish the Hawk, so let's rather not risk it and activate the Allure first. We draw Duo and Impermanent, so this is pretty fine. Like, this is almost like a standard pure Thunder Dragon hand, which this deck, sometimes you just play out a pure Thunder Dragon hand. So we trigger the Dark, we add an OG Thunder Dragon here to the hand actually, so this is a nice play. Okay, so I like this because now that I'm commentating it, I thought we would add Hawk, but I probably thought about it more during the gameplay, and I added OG Thunder Dragon. So the reason is that we can use Fusion to summon the Colossus anyway, and having Fusion in the grave as a follow-up is really, really strong. Being able to add a Thunder Monster in the following turn is super good. Also, Thunder Dragon makes it so we can trigger the Tsushinoko and have a lower chance of hitting the Tsushinoko, so we can draw an additional card, because we can add 2 Thunder Dragons, right? We can still resolve Desires, and we draw into Shiranui Solitaire with Desires. The banishes mostly don't matter. It only is a bit bad if sometimes you banish 2 of the Unizombie if you draw the Solitaire here, of course. But we didn't banish any of them. We also play a lot of 3-offs. So, like, Mare Mare is the only card that we don't play multiples of. So, this is the only card we can really banish. Maybe a Thunder Dragon Fusion and Thunder Dragon Hawk. But from the very important combo pieces, only Mare Mare, which we don't need going first anyway. So we draw into Solitaire, so this changes our plays, right? Because now we can really start to go for a bigger combo. We go for Unizombie, we activate the Thunder Dragon Fusion first, which probably that was a mistake. We should have just waited and activated it later. But at this point in Master Duel, I'm too lazy to play around Nibiru most of the time. Because nobody's crafting a card, because it's kind of ass in this format, it feels like. We go for, so this is our bread and butter combo. Solitaire summon Unizombie, Unizombie mill Mizuki, Mizuki summon out the Solitaire and go for Chaos Ruler with the Unizombie and the Mizuki. We actually, as you can see, we don't mill any light or darks, and we get the snow to our hand, but in hindsight, it might have been better to get the snow in the grave as instead of adding it to the hand, even though at first it seems a bit random not to add a card to the hand with Chaos Ruler, but hindsight, it probably would have been better, just we would have had the snow in the grave already, and I was just a bit greedy here for basically no real reason. At this point, we use the Mizuki to summon back the Unizombie, and we go with Chaos Ruler, the Danger Monster, and the Unizombie for Curious. So now we can get the Snow in the grave this way. Unizombie mills us another 3 cards. We mill a Dragon Dark, we mill a Destrudo, I think it was. So now we use the Snow effect to summon it back and just go for Apollosa. And you see in this deck we can put so many cards in the grave in one turn that it doesn't even matter that we use the Snow on our turn 1 just as a combo extender. We still have 6 cards in hand, which is a bit crazy. And you see with a board like this, it's crazy, right? We end on Apollosa, we end on Colossus, we end on Impermanence, we end on Coldbite, and Snow. So I like this because the interruption is very separated into several parts of the field. We have back row disruption, we have monster interruption, we have something in the grave to activate. It's great. Alright, so we pass on that. I would be very confident, even with 4 cards in hand, we will have 5, and we have a Thunder Dragon Fusion in the grave as well, so that makes it for 6. Now, our opponent here, I don't know what's wrong with the Platinum 1 rank. We play a lot of meme decks, to be honest, here as well. I hope that very soon, probably in the next couple of days, or maybe at the time of posting this video, it's probably even already the end of the season. So maybe they've changed something and they've added like King of Games and maybe a really like a top ranked system. I would love to see that. That would be amazing. We play against Lightsworn. I mean, at least it's a fun matchup, right? It's not the most competitive, but at least it's fun. We use Cold by the Grave on Wolf. If you don't know Wolf, if it gets milled by a card effect, you can special summon it. It's a 21 like beat stick. But we just Cold by the Grave that I thought there wouldn't really be a better option. But also this is just to show you, it's just a show off of what the deck really can do if it's able to go off. And you just have to sort of see how you pilot through different interruptions when they're maybe a bit more complicated. They go for Minerva. So Minerva, I don't understand why they didn't use the effect in the main phase 1. They choose to go into battle phase. Exactly. They want to beat over the Apollosa, which is understandable. I mean, the Minerva would have gotten negated by the Apollosa probably, but even here, I mean, they know that Snow will just book their monsters, so I don't know if that was really the right play, but probably they just didn't have any other play because their Lightsworn deck maybe breaks a bit. If you want to play like the funny freestyle combo deck, I think, or that is still very competitive, I think this deck is pretty much it. So we booked the Minerva, and they just pass, right? It's as sad as this. We summon, but one thing you could also see here is also the strength of being able to trigger your Thunder Dragons when you go first in the opponent's turn. Because now we trigger Dark and Roar. We got Hawk, like we special summoned Hawk. It gets returned in the end phase. It's pretty crazy, like just how much advantage the Snow gives you. And then we use Hawk, and I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter, right? We go for Cerberus. Funny thing is, Cerberus still remembers if a monster was special summoned or normal summoned. So Cerberus can only destroy special summoned monsters in the main monster zone, but it remembers that this face down monster, even though it's face down now, Cerberus still remembers that it was special summoned. So we use the Cerberus, and we can even draw a card because it's co-linked. So that's just some neat plays, I would say, that don't really add anything to the result of this game. Like, we would have won this regardless, I suppose. We negate the Minerva effect to mill and destroy with Apollosa. And at this point, we just OTK them, right? We just put everything to attack, and we just extend for no reason a bit more. I guess it's just a bit of a flex, and then we just attack, right? Alright, so all in all, I think if you're looking for a deck that's fun to play, it's not too easy to play. There's a huge learning curve. You have a lot of different paths you can take and a lot of decision trees. This deck is for you. If you like those big monsters, Thunder Dragon monsters, Danger monsters, and all that good stuff, I think this is something for you. And it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I think I already mentioned that, right? It's just a lot of fun. And it's like one of the best and most satisfying feelings to resolve Grasslook Screener. Anyway, I say this at the end of every video now, but I very much enjoy doing the Master Duel content. Not mainly because it gets a lot of views, I'm just generally very hyped for this game. I am very much looking forward to what it can bring to the TCG as well, how they're going to go about it. This is something TCG players have dreamt about for years, and Thunder Dragon is playable in it, so I'm going to play it a lot in the coming days as well. So yeah, I just hope you have a good time on the channel, and other than that, I will see you in the next video. I hope you loved it, and see you.